whether it's true or not,
Is that true?
I don't know.
I can't verify if that's true, but I know it's picked up. A lot of it's more over by Wessington, I think, but.
Thank
that's-
you.
That's Han County,
Closer to Beale County.
Or Cindy, we've,
Yes.
but yet they reside in Han County.
thank you.
You see these?
No.
Shut my phone off.
Before we start, let's take a moment and pray. Father, thank you for the gift of this day. Thank you for the gift of salvation. Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. Father, as the city council gathers tonight to discuss the city's business, I ask that you would give the alderman and alder lady and the mayor wisdom as they discharge their duties and make decisions for the governance of the city. Father, I lift up the department heads. Father, that you would give them wisdom as they discharge their duties. And Father, as construction season progresses, I pray that you would keep all the city employees safe and keep them alert. Father, I pray that you would keep the construction workers out on the roads and in the trenches and in the ditches, that you would keep them safe and alert. Father, that as things go, as the summer progresses, that there would be no serious injuries. Father, keep them all safe and alert. Father, as all the rest of us drive past, Father, keep us aware of what's going on around us. Father, let us be alert as well. And Father, I humbly lift the city of Miller up. I humbly lift Han County up, the state of South Dakota, and our country. Father, give all of our leaders wisdom as they discharge their duties. Father, may all that happens here tonight glorify your Son's name, and in his name I pray. Amen.
Which hand?
We'll call the meeting to order and begin with pledge allegiance of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the agenda, there's one item that needs to be removed, and that's number 4, which is a plot for the Han County rubble site. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
I'll second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes are found on pages 1 through 3. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as printed. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public input. Has anybody here got anything they wanna talk about that's not on the agenda?
Can you come up to the podium?
A while back, I talked, shared a little bit about possibly having a beer garden behind the highlight. She informed me we need 3 open days between now and the middle of October, or we'll lose our license if we don't order booze and stuff like that before then. So I would like to ask to have a beer garden in the back for some functions up until probably 1st of November. Then hopefully we're up and running in June of next year. I talked for license, so.
Shannon, do you see anything with that?
What's that?
Shannon,
Can we make that decision in public input? No.
I don't know if there's anything that we need to move on anyway. I mean, is there,
We'd have to vote on it, wouldn't we?
If he does what he's required to do before a certain time, whether we vote on it or not, I don't think has any bearing on that.
right,
If he's supposed to do something by a certain date or he loses his license and he does it, if it's a special event, then you'd have to come in and get a special event.
I'll just be opening up the place for a few nights about what it amount to be. And she put me on the thing for, I believe, September, October, November tax bills where I'm set at with the state right now. So I can do whatever I want between that amount of time over there.
You're
Get my
talking
functions in.
this one you just bought?
Yep. The license is set, 3 years or something without being used, and you said it needs to have three open days or 3 different functions going on there.
before the end of October or something, otherwise the state will get rid of that license. So as far as, I mean, it's a license on his property. So I don't know that we would really need to vote on anything.
It's a
He just-
requirement by the state, correct?
It's a requirement by the state that he actually does it. He just wants to make sure that we're okay with him. You're not gonna do it in the building, right? It's gonna be
No,
out
I don't want to do it
behind.
inside the building.
He wants to do it out in the back, so I don't
And
know.
the other establishments that you don't have to have a special license for a beer garden outside?
Your license is for your legal description. So
Okay.
wherever that legal description is, that's, your license is covered on that legal description, which would cover the back. The only thing would be is if you want him to fence it off or anything like that for an event, that would be the only, if there's any suggestions like that. Otherwise, it's his property and his liquor license is good for his property.
I don't think we have anything to say.
Okey-dokey.
He's just following state regulations, correct?
And we don't have any regulations against a beer garden
No.
of any kind, I don't believe. Is there any? You own the property, you own the license, I guess. I wasn't thinking along that line, so you already own it all.
Okay.
You got the license, so.
So I know I've always asked for a beer garden before and stuff to make sure it's okay with everybody, so. If it goes, it goes.
Will it won't affect anybody else back there?
You know.
No apartments, cause it's only blocking your apartment, right? I mean, would it block anybody else's access to apartment buildings or
No,
anything? Okay.
no.
I don't see a problem with it.
I have one other question too, Cheryl. I have a all-sale package license set, and does that have to be used in a certain amount of time too, or lose it?
I think that's more like 5 years, I can't remember for sure, but
Okay.
that was not one that they flagged as
Okay.
needing to get done
If you could check into that
Yeah.
for me, let me know. I appreciate it.
off sale.
Okey dokey. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Anybody else got anything? If not, we'll start with the agenda, with new business. Number one is Sydney Jessup, pool 2021 overview.
All right, so, of all the years I've worked at the pool, this has definitely been the busiest summer out of all of them, I think. So we started off in May with our open house, and that alone at our open house, we got, or raised or whatever, $8,000 approximately. And compared to last year, we only raised about $4,000 at the open house, so we doubled that. Our June, July, those months were pretty busy just because we opened sooner than we did last year. So last year we were open from June 21st through August 12th, and this year we were open from June 1st through August 11th. So we were open probably 20 days more than last year. Throughout the days we were open, the average amount of swimmers we would have every day was about like 90 swimmers a day. We had Highmore bring a bus. They brought a bus Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and it kind of depended on what the weather was like that day, but most of the time they had about 10 to 15 swimmers on the bus that they would bring, and then we had the rest of the roost come on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they usually brought a big crew. And then we had daycare come on Mondays and Wednesdays, but they had a separate time because they just used the kiddie pool. And then in our total income for the whole summer was, I believe, if I can find it, yeah.
It's way down the bottom, 20,000.
Yep, $20,286. And last year, our total income was $11,050. So about $9,000 difference of what we did last year. So the total amount of swimmers that we had throughout the summer was 5,353 swimmers, so quite a few. I have some things that I probably want to change for next year. So for swimming lessons, we have quite a few swimming lessons. So right now what I do is I do 4 sessions of swimming lessons. Each session is 2 weeks long. And it seems to me that a lot of people prefer to do private lessons over just the group swimming lessons, which kind of makes it a pain for us lifeguards because we have to schedule them ourselves, and they're a lot more time and commitment than just the set schedule of swimming lessons. So for session 1 this year, we only had 19 kids, which almost makes me think we don't need 4 sessions, because if we're only going to have 19 kids, that doesn't really make sense. So I think for next year I might drop the amount of sessions, and that way we can have more private lessons and have more time to do those private lessons. So session 2 and session 3 were pretty full. We had 58 kids in session 2 and 53 in session 3. Session 4 we only had 39, but I think dropping it down to 3 sessions would make it a lot easier, because we were kind of in a rush to get private lessons done this year, because people would sign up late. So I think I might add like a deadline for that too, of when private lessons need to be in. We had, so the total number of private lessons that we had this year, we had 56 kids sign up for private lessons, and then along with that, each kid or each parent signs up their kid for as many sessions as the kid needs. So 56 kids, and approximately each child had about 5 sessions, so that's 5 30-minute sessions that us lifeguards have to schedule, and that's time that we can't do like other lessons or something like that. So I think only doing 3 sessions would help a lot, so we don't or so we can do more privates, because it seems like those are preferred among parents. We had a lot of season passes sold this year. We had 22 individual season passes and 59 family passes. So a total of 81. And lap swim and water aerobics, those were pretty much the same as always. We have a pretty good group that comes every time. Water aerobics was a bigger hit this summer. So we had to buy more water weights because we only have 11 pairs of water weights, and there was one night we had 23 people come to water aerobics, so we had to get some more. And lap swim isn't a huge thing because, I don't know, there's not many people that come swim laps, but we usually had a group of like 3 or 4 every day that would come. I just want to thank you guys for helping in every way that you do with the pool, and especially Terry and Gordy and Brandon, because they do a lot. That helps me too. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, ready for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna see you back again next year.
I believe so. Terry wants me.
Is there any questions or comments about the swimming pool?
I think Bob might have one. Did you have a question for her?
No, it's, we do, but I think it's something that we'll just discuss with you at another time. For, just concerning some next year stuff.
Okay.
Just,
You want me to stay after, or?
you don't have to stay for the whole meeting just for that.
Okay.
We can get a hold of you, so,
Okay,
thank you.
sounds good.
Anything else about the swimming pool? If not, we'll go on to number 2. Brandon Hamill, water distribution class 1 test.
Brandon passed his class 1 distribution, so he's due for a raise for that. And now he's fully certified in water and wastewater. Would have done it the last time, but I didn't know he could get in this quick and get one done, so otherwise I would only come in once.
And this is the last
This is the last
certification?
one, so looking for $1.50.
Each one is worth $1.50.
Yep.
This is his last one, correct?
Correct.
We need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve Brandon Hamill's his 3rd test, and, which means he'll get $1.50 increase in his wage.
Effective immediately, like today.
His pay period today.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Brandon Hamill's raise of $1.50 an hour for passing the class 1 test for the sewer and water. Is there any discussion?
Plus, the city of Miller's required to have 2 certified people. And I'm the only one that was certified before, so that'll make 2.
I think,
Is there-
congratulations, good job to Brandon. I think we should notice that. Good job for him, for completing that. That's good work on his part.
Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 3. Chief Speck responds to editor's note.
Good evening, council members. I'm going to respond to a comment that was made in the Miller Press here last week about how I didn't return any Sheriff Crony's phone calls. Well, the truth of the matter is this better? Okay. Truth of the matter is, he was calling an old cell phone number that I haven't had for 4 years. We discussed it a couple days later after this council meeting that he was at, that I wasn't at. And I wasn't at that council meeting because I had another commitment that night. So, yeah, he was calling another, it was a entirely misunderstanding. He was calling a different cell phone number that like I said, I haven't had for 4 years. So that's why I didn't return any phone calls to him, because I didn't know I was getting any from him. So I just want to clarify that. And we have discussed the agency policy that he brought to you guys' attention. And I turned that policy over to our attorney, and she is researching that. And we'll go from there anyway.
Is there any questions or comments?
And I'd like to add one thing too. Sheriff Crony does have my personal cell phone number now, the correct updated version of it.
I didn't get that. You gave him your personal cell phone number, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, we're permitted number 4. So we'll go to number 5, which is code enforcement notifications.
Everybody got a list of the most recent code enforcement violations and what has been there for quite some time. And code enforcer Joel Johnson would like to know if you want him to proceed on all of those that are highlighted, to abate the property in whatever way it needs to be abated. Some of it's gonna take work on our part. One of them, he has contacted our attorney to get the correct way to abate that one. That would be the first one that's highlighted. He had to get direction on how to abate that one. So he just wants to make sure it's okay to go forward, and if he does an abatement letter, then it's gonna be up to the city somehow to get this stuff taken care of. One of them's not highlighted. The third one down after the line on the front page should be highlighted, because that's getting worse instead of better. Third one down after the line, so almost to the bottom of the page. On the front page. There's one down here.
Right in the middle of the page.
Yep.
Sixth one from the bottom.
Sixth one?
Sixth one from the bottom.
It's the third one down from the highlighted.
Yeah, that one was supposed to be highlighted.
The ones that are highlighted are the ones in question?
Oh, that,
The ones that are highlighted is he wants to go forward on
This one?
sending abatement letters, and if he does that and gives them a month or 6 weeks, we need to be prepared to do whatever needs to be done to abate those. Whether it's tearing down houses or,
well, my answer to this is that's why we hired him.
so,
So if he's got these listed, we should follow through and do what he's requesting.
If we're not gonna follow through, we just will quit paying him.
Exactly. Don't need a motion, do we?
I don't think so. If you wanna just I can just tell him that you reviewed it and he's good to go to send abatement letters for all of those properties.
Do you see like, newer ones from time to time?
The first one,
This is the first time of me seeing this, so sorry I don't get,
the first two are newer this time. I mean, actually, it looks like the one before
that's
was
the
there, but
dates.
the top one was just added this visit. So they're,
Well, it just seems like for this date of the 12th, and there's only one,
yeah, he wasn't here very long on the 12th because he was on his way to Gettysburg. So he just came through here on his way to Gettysburg, so this wasn't a full day stop on this one. He was just checking the stuff that has already been on there to see if anything had been done that was supposed to have been done by this date.
and then just picked up one more.
Just picked up one more on his way through town. So,
Because I think there's more that he'll
Oh, sure.
probably be adding, or should be.
You'll have to come back and do a more in-depth
right.
look.
Yeah, he was on his way to Gettysburg when he just kind of swung through, and
Yeah, because some of these are pretty old, the way it looks.
there's some that are very old and need to be,
That's why I was looking to abate some of these.
We would look at ones that go clear back to 2017.
yeah.
I don't understand that. You can give, I mean, we can give people the benefit of the doubt, give them extensions for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to, we're paying someone to do this for us.
Well, we just have to say go for it. Get them done. You'll do it.
A lot of these had
But what,
good stories, but,
He'll do it, but we have to back him up.
yeah.
And that's what he's asking for here, I'm sure.
the ones from 2017 aren't highlighted.
Yeah,
One is back here, isn't it?
One is, well, actually, there's two highlighted from 2017.
highlighted on the right side that he had an extension, so he must have just talked to him. The second one from the bottom, but the bottom one should have been taken care of a long time ago.
Yeah. The third one from the bottom is a work in progress here, and it's taken a while to have to go through different people on that one.
On which one? Oh,
That one. He's been trying to get a hold of
the,
all these people, and they don't call him back, and when you do call him back, I'll be there, and they don't show up.
so is there not, and I hate to keep bringing up the word policy, but is there a standard way that they're supposed to proceed with these? Like you give them an extension, and if it's not, I mean, is there anything in place that says if you don't have this, if they don't have it done with X amount of time after this is written, that it'll go forward, you know what I mean, or? Because to me, if you tell me in 2017, and I haven't done it yet, there should be something in place, and maybe the guy that does this knows those rules, but there should be some kind of rules that they would have to automatically fall into place as far as how much time you give them. The thing about us proceeding with it, we have to make sure that, everything is properly in place to proceed.
And that's kind of on him. He's the one that knows what
That's
the
what I
rules
thought,
are.
maybe he was so, you know, if he knows it's okay to go ahead, that's what he should be doing on his
Yeah.
own, that's what he's getting paid for.
Right, he just wants to make sure, if we say go ahead, some of these, it's gonna be on the city to find someone or whatever to abate that property. So it might be at an expense to the city. You know, like one of them that needs a house torn down, if we hire someone to tear that house down, that's on our dime, if they don't get it done, and it will go, you know, we can apply it to their taxes or whatever, but we're not gonna get paid for it unless that property sells, and it'll probably sell for less than what we put into it moving the house. So, that's kinda, I mean, if we have to spend money to abate these, that's where he has to make sure it's okay, cause he can't spend our money, he doesn't have any spending authority.
But we do file a lien or have a lien position against these properties once we put money into them.
We've only done that on one, but that one has been a nightmare trying to get it actually on the property. Because we can't find him to serve the papers. So I've been trying for a couple of years to get one of them on to the property and. So. But they have to be able to find the person in order to serve them the papers if we're going to put anything as a lien against the property. We cannot put a lien against the property though if we don't do the work ourselves. I mean, we can put a bill, like a small claims type of thing, but we cannot put a mechanics lien type of thing if we don't do the work. We have to do the work ourselves in order to put like a mechanics lien that would be taken immediately upon selling the property, so.
The only thing I think a person has to be really careful with too is, what's fair for one is fair for all.
100%.
So once you start going forward, you have to keep going
Mm-hmm.
because it's not somebody that maybe, you know, will do it someday but hasn't yet. If they should not be allowed, you know, they should have to get it done in a timely fashion too, no matter who knows them.
Correct.
I think fair is fair. So I would say that's one thing you have to look at too, is how many that you could be in a bait with. So,
I agree, everybody's gotta be treated equally, but that is his responsibility, his job. And we can't not move forward because we're afraid that we might have to clean up a property. We can't use that as an excuse to not move forward.
In all fairness to Joel, you know, Mike started some of these, and Mike's no longer the code enforcer. Joel took it over, what, 8 months ago? A year?
Maybe about a year ago.
So he's still in the learning process of all these other that were already there.
so the first guy
Enforced by
kind of
Mike.
dropped the ball in 2017.
Well, evidently.
Well, there
So-
must be some other circumstances there that he's
Yeah.
working with them on, but I
He
mean,
was
you're
trying to
right,
work
how
with
much
somebody.
time did they get?
They try and call him, talk to him, and personally talk to him and all that before they do anything else. So it's not that they don't try and work with the individuals. But sometimes they can't get a hold of them because they avoid it.
It's not fair to the people who have done as they were asked, and they've cleaned up their property. It is not right to them, it's not fair to them. They have stepped up, cleaned up their property, done exactly what was asked. We can't let these other ones go.
And some of them are repeats. That's another thing.
Another suggestion would be, some people just plain can't afford it.
Right.
You know, Keeters have that program, and they ask for people, couldn't some of this be looked into for that good deed they do for the community?
I would think that would be an excellent place for them to start, but I don't know how they get their projects.
There was a thing in the paper
Was
that
there?
people could sign up. I mean, so like some of these people, you know, if they're elderly or don't have the means to tear something down or whatever, I mean, they would tell you how big of a job it would be, but that would be something maybe to help the people who truly don't have the resources.
At one point, we talked about shingles, paint that needs, you know, a house that needs completely repainted and replacing shingles, things that were gonna be a large expense. And I think we decided to not focus so much on the shingles and the painting. Is that?
The
does that
junk
ring any bells?
cleanup, there was no reason not to clean up the stuff in the around the house or property, but also that was kind of the tearing down the houses, some of those that need to be tore down.
Can cost as much as shingling a house or painting a house.
Yes.
Cause I did have somebody approach me about shingles. They'd gotten a letter about shingles. But I don't see it on here.
Have they replaced their shingles?
No. Cause they were saying how that they had, the first time they got the letter, they had a hard time finding somebody cause it's a really steep house.
Oh,
And so I just said, you know, until you can find somebody, you'd probably have to get an extension.
I guess my understanding on all this is we're willing to work with everybody and anybody on this. Come to us, talk to us. Well, if you got circumstances that are beyond your control, talk to us about it and we'll work with you. We're not that hard to work with, I don't think that, okay, so you got a contractor that promised you a year ago and he hasn't showed up yet, he's busy. It's up beyond your control.
And I agree with what Jeff said, I think we have a lot more leniency, we should have a lot more leniency to paint and shingles. It doesn't cost much to clean up your junk. Anybody can go out in their yard and go to work and clean up their junk. That really doesn't cost a lot. Everybody knows somebody with a pickup. We have free dump day, we have city cleanup day, we have multiple opportunities to clean up property. Getting rid of old cars, I think those should be our focus, is the junk, the cars, the tall weeds, things that people can easily do that don't cost them a lot of money. Paint, yeah, it is expensive to paint a house, and I think they should be encouraged to, but it's an expensive process, that's for sure.
so you want me to just tell him to go forward on all of the ones that he has highlighted, including the one that's not highlighted? Oh,
I think he should move forward, absolutely. And I don't think we even should debate this every time. I think he needs
Just-
to move forward with what program we have in place. In all fairness to everybody else who's done this and done a wonderful job of cleaning up.
I agree.
We've made a lot of progress, so let's not stop now.
Is there anything else on the code enforcement violations? If not, we'll go to number 6, which is the airport project. And we have A and B. A is Helms and Associates invoice number 24297 for $22,162.65, found on page 5.
motion to pay the Helms and Associates invoice 24297.
I will
Okay,
second
we
that.
have a motion to pay Helms and Associates invoice number 24297 for $22,162.65. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second now for Helms and Associates invoice number 24297 for $22,162.65. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. B is Midland Contracting, pay request number 2 for $154,320.75, found on page 6.
I'll make a motion, we pay Midland Contracting $154,320.75.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay Midland Contracting pay estimate number 2 for $154,320.75. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 7, South Dakota Municipal League Fall Conference. Found on pages 7 and 8.
Currently, it's Terry, Dustin, and myself gonna be there all week, and Ron wants to be there just on Wednesday, I believe is his. So he'll go out Tuesday night and be there Wednesday for the meetings.
Dustin's not going.
Dustin will go for the whole week.
Okay. I didn't hear that, so.
Yeah, Dustin, Terry, and I for the whole week.
Okay.
Ron just for one overnight and a full day of classes.
And this is in Pier?
This one's in Spearfish.
Spearfish.
This one moves every year.
You should go, Pam.
It'd be
Yeah.
good. I mean, it's seriously. This would be good for anybody.
Any councilman.
Wait till next year, it'll be in Hawaii.
I'd like that, but I kind of doubt that.
I don't think so, I don't think it's gonna be Hawaii.
And it is open to all council members, so if any council members wanna go, that would be awesome. There's a lot of good information there.
I'm just looking to see what's on the agenda.
I don't play golf though.
Well, you can skip the golf if you want on Tuesday and just show up Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock and pick code enforcement. They usually have fascinating, like hoarder type of, they have really cool sessions usually.
When do you have to know by?
I think we have to know by September, what is the, I think September 1st or something, September something, I don't remember, let me check.
So you can remind us coming up at the next meeting, or
How soon do you have to sign up if you was gonna go?
There's a discount if you sign up, I'm just gonna look at it right here real quick. Events.
Thursday, October 7th, official workshop.
How, what did you say the date you have to decide on this, Cheryl?
I was just looking. Oh, here it is, sorry. Registration. That's for golf. 65 days for one, or $65 for one day, $100 for all 2 or 3 days. It does not say on there. There is a deadline to get that. I don't know why it doesn't say that on there. This attendee just for, sorry, I don't know where it is.
Well, if you could pencil me down, but let me know before you send in registration, just to be sure.
Okay.
I got 2 big shows the week before and the week after. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to swing it, but I'll try.
I will get the deadline to you tomorrow. Well, there's not really a deadline, it's just cheaper if you sign up earlier.
That's what I said. Jump car or whatever it costs us.
Usually there's a registration form. It is in your municipal league magazine. I know that. This is just to add it on there. Does this have the registration? No? All right, I will get the deadline for you guys. If anybody wants to go, it is definitely worth your time.
September 24th,
Where'd you find that?
in the email that Lisa sent.
Oh, there you go.
You just sign up by September 24th?
Yep, save 100. You can get registered for $100.
By September 24th. That's pretty good. That's
See what
only,
it is after that.
Are you gonna look into that then?
September 24th is when we have to be signed up by, so yeah, you can,
We got a month then.
yeah, we got a little time, so you can tell me closer. I'll put it on the agenda for, what's the second meeting in September? Can't read that.
Just remind us at every meeting.
The 7th and then the 20th?
Yeah.
Okay, 24th deadline.
Okay, are we done with that then?
It's a hard one to.
Okay, then we're gonna go on to number 8, which is the department head spending authority.
When was the last time we raised that?
Mm,
2 years ago? 3? 4?
it went from what, 350 to,
750 or?
yeah, 350 to 750. I don't have all of the agendas on, or,
Has there been an issue with where we're at now?
or,
Some things,
go ahead and,
yeah, some things it's been an issue, 750 isn't enough to cover. And they gotta come to this council meeting to get approval for 1,000. Okay. So,
How often does that happen, Shayla? Does it happen monthly or?
well, I will tell you that sometimes they beg for forgiveness because they have to get something and they can't wait for the next meeting, so they'll just order it. So I couldn't tell you how often, but
One fire hydrant costs way more than that.
yeah. More than 1,000 even, so.
and it's not that you guys go wild with the
Yeah.
money, I mean,
It's only in, I mean, nobody orders anything really unnecessary, it's just sometimes it'd be nice to just be able to get something that you need now, rather than waiting 2 weeks for it, or whatever, or 3 weeks.
I don't know what.
But
a
again,
truck
if it's an
tire costs.
emergency, we're gonna order it anyway.
What would a tire cost for that? Front end loader,
More than that,
Yeah.
more than $1,000.
more than $1,000.
Well, and that'd be a case of they would just do it and beg for forgiveness, cause if they needed the loader before.
But even 2 tires on the truck probably cost.
But those all fit within normal
Operations and,
operations, so I don't know that that's even,
That's true.
isn't this spending limit something that's maybe outside of what is already budgeted? I mean, I don't expect that Terry has to come in here to get new tires put on his pickup if they need put on. I mean, that's silly. That's all part of his repairs and maintenance budget, and
What's a new computer cost?
that's
Add in, you know,
2,500.
could go under repairs and maintenance too.
That's, yeah. That would be equipment,
I was
machinery
gonna say
equipment.
that'd be more equipment.
And that would be a case that should be budgeted for unless an equipment, or unless a computer crashes.
which doesn't happen very often, and so you bring,
We try to rotate our equipment so that there's,
Well, this is one thing I think we need to be very careful about, how strict we get with this. Cause let me give you an example of it. A load of road oil, if you get a transport load, it'll be about 10,000 gallons, will probably cost $20,000. Now, if whoever, the street budget is budgeted for that, are we gonna force him to have to come in here to ask him to get a load of, are we gonna have to call a special meeting?
It's not if it's in his budget. If it's in his budget, he should be able to buy it, shouldn't he, Shayla? Or
For-
how is that work?
for something like that, that's general maintenance, that's more repairs and maintenance and supplies, but.
Now, let me tell you, because you wanna be a little careful about this, how you word this. Because I know of an instance where the county did this, and they put it down, and they got it so low that they couldn't even buy fuel. And somebody started complaining about it, and they ended up with everything out of fuel, and couldn't buy it. You gotta be a little careful about how you word this.
I would think it wouldn't even apply to already budgeted. If it's in their budget, if it's what they're doing,
It should be up to the department head. If he knows he's getting a load of fuel in and he's budgeted for it, they shouldn't have to ask again for it, cause it's
I don't
already
think
been
if it's
budgeted.
This has nothing to do with what's already budgeted, correct, Shayla?
Yeah, where's the line between repairs and maintenance and supplies? There's gonna be things you didn't plan on needing that might seem like they're, I don't know, Terry, what would you,
Like a fuel trailer, that,
yeah, well, that's way over, so that's,
something might come up that government surplus has or.
right. And that's probably, Ron is probably the biggest one with the government surplus and finding things that he didn't plan on getting, but it's really cheap at a surplus, and he,
I don't remember the last time anybody came to the council and asked permission to spend over their authority that wasn't, I mean, it's not like this happens very often.
no, it's pretty rare.
I think Dustin brought up the question, didn't he? 'Cause he didn't know, he ordered a transformer, it cost
Yeah, he were,
$5,000, he said that's over my limit.
but it's kind of part of his,
If you have to have a
Supplies.
transformer to run the electricity for the city, you have to have it.
If it's something that he has to have, you know,
Well, like I needed the heater for our shop and I think it was $850. So do you wait until the, was zero out for the next council meeting, or if you order it?
Well, I truly believe all of our superintendents are very good about watching how money gets spent. I don't think we've ever had a problem, we just
I think what happens is sometime, well, I'm headed here, I need this, I'm telling you, and then I'll come to the next meeting and I'll inform you of it. If it's something out of the ordinary.
And that's what the spending limit is for, something out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary,
Not
I
something
think
they
is-
budgeted for. So there could be something out of the ordinary, like Terry said, $850, $900, they can't buy it because their spending authority is $750. They have to
I
wait
don't
until the
think that
next.
happens very often. On the other hand, I think it's fine to up it to $1,000.
That's,
Big
that's
deal.
what I was gonna
That's
say, is
fine.
put it to 1,000, and draw it there. Maybe don't have to go crazy,
You know.
see how the 1,000 works.
Well, you're gonna get into the same thing with tires. You have a flat tire go on that grader down there, $1,000 don't buy one.
No.
So if they blow a tire,
Well, he's gonna have, that'll be on his
Repairs and
maintenance.
maintenance.
Yeah.
mhm,
That'll come out of his maintenance and repairs, so. That he budgeted, I don't know how much for, 25, 30,000.
Yeah, I would think that anything that's
well,
gonna
then in
stop
other
business
words,
can't
if you
happen.
got $30,000 for maintenance and repairs, you can spend $25,000 on something?
No. No,
Well-
he has to come to the,
What?
he'll have to come to the council.
Well, what about, what,
I'm just saying, these are things that aren't budgeted, that seem to happen. Something might happen that's gonna cost them $800 for it. They can't buy it on a $750 spending limit. This is not what they've already projected on their budget that they're gonna spend it on.
well, you're gonna find out that there's gonna be a lot of things that'll come up that'll cost you over $1,000 if you have to have it.
Could it be, rather than,
I'm not saying that it should be unlimited, but we need to be careful about how we do this.
couldn't it be like, say if Terry needed, I don't know, I think tires is under maintenance and repairs, but if it would be something like his $850
Heater.
heater, and he only has a $750 budget, couldn't he just ask Shayla for it? I mean, and then if she doesn't think it's reasonable, it has to come to the council?
Yeah, I wouldn't have any idea.
But,
I wouldn't have any idea
I
what he
mean, you
needs.
could pretty much trust their judgment.
Well, that's what I
somebody
would trust
could.
him anyway, because I wouldn't think that the little heater we have in here would heat his shop, so I wouldn't have any idea what he would need.
Yeah,
So I would trust his judgment to
so like
begin
if
with.
he
yeah.
came to you and said, this is gonna cost $850,
Yeah, I'd
couldn't
say-
it be approved if it's something you have to have without being at the whole council? Cause if you have to have it, you have to have it.
If they have to have it, it's probably already part of their
Have to have budget.
budget, you know, repairs and maintenance or supplies or something that is gonna fit underneath.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're talking about a problem we don't have, honestly. And we could up it to 1,000, that's fine, but I think it really covers more if Ron sees a blade that he needs. All right, this is not budgeted. I've got something here special that I'd like to get. He brings that to the council. Terry wants to buy a new, what were you buying there, Terry, to flush out the lines, to thaw some lines, something like that.
tobacco or something.
I mean, but I mean, when we were trying to thaw out some of those frozen lines here a couple of years ago, those are the kind of things they're gonna bring to us, not every little thing that's already part of their budget. But if we need to up it to 1,000, I mean, that's fine, if that gives them a little bit more room, but again, it has nothing to do with their everyday operating expenses. They have to be able, they're the department heads, they can determine that if it's part of their everyday operating expenses.
Say like Dustin in the electric department, I mean, if he needs something for a transformer or a transformer, you have to have it to run stuff. That would be part of his repairs and maintenance, I would think,
Right, or supplies in his case, yeah.
yes.
I mean, if something goes bad with, say, a transformer and you're out of them, you had enough to get the guy going again, but you don't have one, a spare, you probably should get one coming right away.
Well, a computer for the water department's like, last time we bought one, $6,500.
but you know it's gonna happen,
Yeah, well,
and you tell us about
we plan on getting one.
it. Right, okay, you've
Next
told
year.
us.
And you budget for it.
Yeah.
So are we looking to reword this policy or?
It was just to up it from 750 to 1,000. That's the only thing. Before it was way too low to just
Before that was
order. Yeah,
350.
yeah, and you couldn't get
500.
anything. You couldn't get one tire for the pickup, which again, tires are repairs, but
Did you get him?
I trust our superintendents to make that decision day to day.
And plus it
All
changes
along.
by council.
Yeah,
Every time you change somebody in the council, all that stuff changes.
yeah, I trust these people to make these decisions every day. I do not have a problem. If there is something they need and they can't wait, they will come to the next meeting and tell us that it's coming and it's gonna cost this much. And it's in my budget.
I'm just gonna make a motion, we up it to $1,000 and end this.
Okay, we have a motion to set the spending limit at $1,000. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Building permits.
they're over
Kurt
there.
Spangler's Garage and the Catholic Church assigned. Has everybody looked at the building permits?
Nope, never made it here.
We need them over here.
You didn't pass it down, did you?
I know.
Right here.
Right here it was.
You have this.
Sorry,
No,
let me
the,
get a second.
The Spangler one has to be in,
Take one for the team.
I did it, it's my fault.
That one has to be contingent on Dustin's review.
that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah,
Bob did it.
Bob did it.
Is there gonna be eaves on it that stick out too far?
Dustin was asking that. He needed to look at the building and look at
Spangler wanted
where,
it signed
he
by
couldn't really read
He's gonna sign it
what Kurt
tomorrow.
was
He is gonna.
handwriting was,
He's gonna
so.
go look at it first.
And he's like, you know, when Beaner has it, there's flags
So if
out
we
there.
make
I'm
a
like,
motion, it's
you're
gotta be-
talking a contractor. That's
Dustin
not gonna be the
sign off.
norm. When Beaner wants to move a building,
Gotta know
that's
about
not the
that.
norm. This is the norm. Not, most people don't know how to draw these up, so.
Where would that garage come from?
It's coming from Roy Harvey's,
Oh,
so.
we got a review
We
permit.
gotta know about that.
I move
I
it
didn't
to,
know
from
about
his,
that.
that place to his rental house, so.
I'm a Lutheran, I knew about that.
That's 'cause you're out and about.
All day long about that. Involved for that.
You just like to argue all day long, that's your problem.
That's crazy.
Dustin's meeting with Kurt Spangler tomorrow morning at 8:30 to review that one, so it'll be contingent upon his review. Cause he hasn't had a chance to go over there yet.
Has everybody looked at these building permits?
Yes.
Well, I entertain a motion to approve them with the stipulation they'll be contingent upon the department that they'll sign, they're all signed but one.
He's gonna meet with him to review it tomorrow. That one's gonna meet with him to review it tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Well,
So he didn't wanna sign it
I'm
till
gonna
he-
be around the afternoon.
Okay.
They get it signed, I'll sign it tomorrow, otherwise I won't sign it.
I'll make the motion, we
So-
approve the building permits with,
You move,
yeah, that Dustin signs off on Kurt Spangler's.
you have a second, you second, Jim? Or-
I made it.
He made the motion, I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the building permits contingent upon department head signing off on the one. So it'll be contingent on that. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. No.
I'll take the
Okay, number 10 is for the bid for electric department building repair. For project.
This is the
that's
only bids we
project
received.
1. Is $9,773.78. Did we just receive one
Correct.
quote?
Yeah, just so it doesn't look real fishy, how many other people did you send this to?
We sent letters to all the contractors in the surrounding area, probably 20 letters that we sent out. So, yes, we sent them out to everyone we knew that does this type of work, that has been on our list, so.
And when did the bids have to be in by?
Last Tuesday, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Yeah.
How much was the bid for again?
$9,773.78.
Can you guarantee that for a year?
Yep.
That's our bid. I make a motion, we accept Zeller Construction bid for $9,773.78 to repair the electric department roof.
Do we have a
No.
second?
Electric department building, it's the
Building,
window,
okay,
yeah.
sorry.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the quote of $9,773.78 for the electric department building repair. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carried.
I abstained.
You're abstaining, aren't you, Joe?
Shayla was waiting for.
Okay, now we'll talk
Actually, I
about
already had it
number
written
2.
down.
Project number 2 is shingle pool pump house. Bid, quote of $933.
I will make a motion, we hire Zeller Construction to shingle the pump house for $933.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the quote of $933 for the pump house. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Abstain.
Now, going to unfinished business. Number 1, brainstorm work sessions.
Ideas of where we wanna start, how often you wanna have this work sessions. Do we wanna set just a third Monday on every 3 months that we just automatically do it? How do we wanna handle these? work sessions. The girls and I are coming up with a nice long list, so.
That involves the employees too, right?
What's that?
That'll involve the employees also.
If there's things that involve the employees, yes. I mean,
Okay, so, once
This is the first I heard of it, what is it?
it's more of a work session for the council. So if there's, like, our zoning map needs to be done, our, comprehensive plan was done in the eighties, that needs to be done. Other, our policy manual should be relooked at. There's a lot of just different, I don't know what else you had, Jeff, on,
The biggest thing that comes to my mind is that we need to tackle is the city's responsibility for the housing development projects.
yes,
Got
that's,
a couple big ones being talked about.
that needs to be
We
done.
need to get that ironed out sooner than later.
There's a few things in our ordinances that really need to be fine-tuned.
I like the idea of once every 2 months or 3 months on the second Monday or whatever. But to also look forward to that calendar and see, just don't place it on that day. Let's not put it on top of something else.
Right.
Let's not put it on top of a ball game or a church event or a Monday holiday. Just
Be aware.
what are we gonna? I mean, what are we gonna work on this, or how are we gonna run these meetings? That's my concern. They're gonna be a legal meeting if we're all gonna be
Yep.
there.
It'll be a legal meeting, it'll be a work session unless you actually make a final decision like on, and I would think you would actually want to do a final decision on, say, the comprehensive plan. We'll work on it, we'll get it approved by the attorney. When it comes to actually approving that final, that would be done at a regular
Well,
meeting.
that's what I'm getting at. I don't want anything approved at this work sessions.
Right,
Cause the last thing I need is to have about these work sessions with another 200 signatures to.
yeah.
So I don't think we ought to I think we ought to not take any action on anything.
I think it's just a meeting more to brainstorm, get things done and moving, and then if something moves, it would come to a,
The way I understand it is they're similar to committee meetings
It's just you
where
got,
you gather information, present ideas, do work and present the results to the council.
But the full council's input the whole time,
yeah.
so we're all on the same page.
And I think that's important with a lot of things is everyone is involved in knowing what's going on.
I think it will speed things up and get a better clarity of what needs to be done, and one topic, it might take 3 or 4 meetings, I don't know. It's hard telling, and the next one we might be able to knock out in one meeting. It's hard to tell.
I think it's just really until a person gets started and knows how it's gonna flow.
So, this is a public meeting,
It has to be a public meeting.
okay, a public meeting, we're gonna take input from the public.
You can,
not?
yeah. Yeah, you could. There'd be a public input at the beginning of each one. That's a requirement.
Okay. But I
And
mean,
basically,
during the
that's who
meeting,
we
are
work
gonna
for.
take Input from the,
I would say to a certain extent, if somebody's here and it's a topic that they have something of value to add, obviously you don't
I'm
want them
just
to.
talking input on what we're discussing, they're okay with
Yeah.
putting their input in that.
But I
that's
wouldn't
all.
let them take over the meeting. I mean, obviously, if they have good input or their opinions, that's important for the public to be able to make that comment at that time. And you'll take it and you'll use it to the best that you can.
I just wanted to be clear on that, that's all.
Yes. Anytime you have a public meeting, the public is welcome to attend and make comments.
Okay.
Have a time limit on whether the public
Yeah.
can speak.
Yeah, we don't want somebody coming and talking for a half hour with their ideas and nothing gets done in the work session, so.
So you put a time limit on?
I would, I mean, relatively, I mean, you should,
Yeah, just like,
just like
just
our,
like a public input. here.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, are we gonna have an agenda to follow with this? If we're gonna have the public involved in it, with everything, or are we gonna get tangled into 15 different topics?
No. I would say each work session would have one agenda item. I
That's
mean,
what
if you're
I
gonna
think.
talk
I
about
think
developments, that's all we're talking about, we're not gonna get
if
off
we
track.
wanna work on the comprehensive plan, we're gonna work on the comprehensive plan, not that in the streets or whatever. Cause we won't
Except-
get anything done if we get on 15 different topics.
But if we just think that we're gonna come in here and address the comprehensive plan in one meeting,
No, that won't happen.
that's not gonna happen, exactly. And so, and it can't even take up an entire meeting, because a lot of it is gonna be, stuff that you're gonna be needing to do. I have no idea what it's gonna take to redo our comprehensive plan.
And things like that, development, that's part of our comprehensive plan. How are we gonna go forward? What are kind of our guidelines of what the city wants to be in the next 5 and 10 years? That's kind of our comprehensive plan, and it's supposed to be retweaked every 5 years, which we're just a little bit behind on that. So things like the development, that needs to come first. We need to make those decisions first. There's different types of things like that. The zoning map, that has to come before the comprehensive plan. Cause that can't, I mean, that is part of it. This is what we want, this is where we wanna grow, this is what we wanna do. That has to be part of that.
But probably we're not all gonna sit in here and rework the zoning map at a meeting. There's gonna be, I think we already have a zoning subcommittee.
Yeah.
If the whole group decides that that's the priority, then it's up to that subcommittee to go ahead and research and
Yes.
dive into, well, if we decide that at a meeting, okay, there's a priority, zoning, great, who's ever on the zoning committee, go to work, that's now a council directive. That's not worthy of an entire meeting to say that, now we gotta move on, so to say we're only gonna discuss one thing, that's not realistic. Because then we're gonna move on to, animal control, then we're gonna move, we can fit 2 or 3 things.
If there's some
into a meeting.
smaller things, yeah, but you wanna make sure that you can do the due diligence on those items. And maybe first one is just a brainstorming, and out of that brainstorming, you say, okay, the zoning committee's gonna deal with the zoning map and bring that back to us on what date? The animal control or whatever, that can be brought back to us, maybe on the same one, What can we all get done in one work session to make sure all of our i's are dotted and t's are crossed properly?
I just don't want us to limit ourselves to think that we're only gonna talk about one thing, because that's not gonna fill up a meeting. It's not gonna be worthy of our time to meet when it's gotta then go to a subcommittee. It may
Right.
later on down the road, when the subcommittee is done, and the zoning committee can come in here and say, all right, this is what we got, that may well take up all the meeting.
And I think in the brainstorming, you'll come up with ideas that this can go to a committee, this we need to all talk about, and then
Where you're gonna find out a lot of this is when you're gonna have this meeting, then there's gonna have to be some research by Shayla or a committee that's gonna come out of these meetings too. Cause we're not gonna have all that information there when we start.
Yeah, exactly, that's exactly what I'm saying. And there's already subcommittees set up already that will apply to most everything that we are going to talk about.
Need a motion?
I think we just need to, what do you want for timing? Do you wanna do this every 2 months, every 3 months? Again on a Monday night? And is the first one, we actually just sit and go through, everybody thinks between now and then what we need to discuss, and we come up with a list and prioritize. and what can go to committees and what needs to be before the full council right at the very beginning. And what, a kind of a timeline, you know, like I said, the comprehensive plan needs to be done, but there's so many other things that need to be done before we can do that comprehensive plan. So we kinda need to get rolling on some of that stuff. So,
I don't think every 3 months is often enough, until at least we get started and get some things knocked out and get rolling. I think we need to do it more often than that.
Could we have people look at their schedules for October? Bring their plans for the month to the first meeting and see if we can put a date on the first Monday of October, schedule something in October.
October sounds like a good month start. September, and the rest of this month aren't good.
they're kinda busy.
Cause fishing's good?
Hmm?
Cause fishing's good?
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
No, wait, the fishing picks up in October, the
Oh.
start of November.
Oh, shoot.
no, we still have a budget to do, plus
Oh, yeah, we do.
medical marijuana, plus some other things are gonna take up the rest of this month and part of September.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of medical marijuana, these guys kinda chose August 30th as our special meeting, public hearing for our medical marijuana to go through all of our ordinances that we need to. Cause we have to have the second reading by September 7th in order to have it in effect by October 4th. So we need to have a special meeting, but we're not gonna be ready by the 26th with the budget meeting. Plus that one's gonna kinda drag on, so we wanted to keep them separate.
Is this gonna be called a special session? Or is it gonna be a scheduled one?
I think eventually we need to get it towards a scheduled, and then we'll back off on that. Like Bob said, we'll start off more often, and then we'll back off to maybe every 2 or 3 months if we get a lot of stuff done. But it would be a work session. It would be scheduled as a work session. With an agenda item or items pertaining to what is going to be discussed at that meeting. And again, no action taken until the following regular meeting.
So we're gonna pick a date at our first meeting in October, is that pretty much? what we
October
decided?
4th, I'll put that on the agenda for October 4th to choose a date.
First, for a first one.
To choose the date.
Then we can get through all this other stuff first. Okay.
So we're done.
Unless anybody has something else to add.
So far we decided we're just gonna talk about when we're gonna have it on the October 4th.
And probably what we wanna put on that. Do you guys have ideas or just brainstorming on that first one? I think we can go on from now. I think we're ready to move on.
Okay, now what are we gonna do about minutes and that kind of stuff?
We'll have to have minutes on what our topic was and just kind of briefly what we discussed and the direction we're going on that. We'll have to have minutes.
In other words, it'll start out just like the meeting here does, with an agenda.
Yes. Instead of
Well,
new,
I'm all for it if we'll stick to the agenda, and I mean stick to it. But if we're gonna have motions and that kind of stuff, and we're gonna be working on this stuff, and we're gonna have to make motions.
We're not making any motions.
What?
We won't be making any motions on that.
Well, we need to do something to keep the meeting moving.
We're gonna stick to just.
Cause I don't intend on being here, sitting here until midnight, working on
No, it's gonna stick to the agenda, or that particular work session is gonna have one agenda and that's it. And that's what we're gonna discuss. Right?
And then once the projects aren't as big to have to discuss, you can probably have more than one. If it's a smaller project, you could probably handle more than one.
Well, one thing we're gonna enforce, I'll tell you right now, is there's not gonna be everybody talking at once about something. If somebody wants to talk about it, that's fine. But they're gonna be the only one talking, cause I'm not gonna be sitting here trying to decipher. There's 3 people over here talking about it and 2 over here. So that's the way it's gonna be run, and we're gonna stick strictly to the agenda.
Does anybody think a whiteboard would be beneficial to write notes on, or just, or a flipboard, or anything to kind of put ideas on the wall, or do you wanna just keep your own notes?
I can keep notes, but sometimes I can't keep track of them.
And take pictures, that's what we did on our FEMA stuff, we put it all on a whiteboard and then we took pictures of our whiteboards. So, I just didn't know if we wanted to,
Whiteboard would be fine, to be writing down our main possible topics of discussion and then that we can look at and then start prioritizing.
Another thing I'm gonna suggest, if we're gonna do this, the agenda and all that stuff, we need to be able to have time enough and do it, research the thing to where we know what's going on before we get here. I think it's a very good idea if we can make it work.
Well, it's something new. I mean, we gotta just,
There's always gonna be a few problems to work
Well-
out. There'll always be a few problems you're gonna run into that you gotta work out.
or we can just keep going status quo and get to
nothing
where
done.
we've been.
We can try it, that's all I can say. If we need a whiteboard, let's get a whiteboard.
Well,
I think
somebody wanna move that?
To buy a whiteboard,
What?
to buy a whiteboard or what?
No, that's under $750.
It depends on what you want, if you want a whiteboard with a cabinet, it is not under $750, cause I
That's
looked.
true.
But if you want it just on the wall,
See?
then
She's
it's,
done her research.
I did.
Yes.
I found whiteboards anywhere from 2,500 to 6,000 for the cabinets, which amazed me. I thought, I'm thinking somebody could probably make us one for a lot cheaper than that. But yes, I
They
did.
weigh 200 pounds though.
Well, I don't know why the cheapest one I found was $700 and it weighed 166 pounds. Why would you need a whiteboard for 166 pounds on the wall that just was a cabinet that just opened up?
That's a lot of weight.
I have no idea, but
You can't find one with an easel?
that's what I'm saying. We couldn't. I don't know that I want a great big whiteboard on the wall here.
I was thinking something
Okay,
temporary, just,
I mean, we
Bring
can
that.
get those. We can get a temporary one on like that we can just write on,
if we're gonna do this,
or we could do it with big paper too, and then you can keep your paper.
if we're gonna do this after tonight, and we have one of these meetings, we can set topics after that, from one to the next. Okay, but let's get a topic picked for this first one. that we can, so people can get ready for it and not take a half an hour to explain what we're going to decide what we're gonna do.
And I think they did mention a priority.
I think Jeff's development is a huge priority. We need to know what we're doing with developments. So we can tell somebody when they come in what the city's gonna do and what it's the developer's responsibility.
I think it's a good idea if we can get it to work.
It might take just a little bit to
Tweak.
get it going, but once a person
Well,
gets
there's
going,
some-
it'll be quick. And-
There's gonna be some bugs in it.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a learning
For sure.
experience.
but I think it'll be a good outcome. You'll see more progress.
And just on the legal end of it, you gotta keep to task. You can't. you
Can't let things
What
slide.
is on the agenda, you have to stick with. If you go to something else, that you can get in trouble for that. I think there's a town in South Dakota 2 years ago that had a meeting and the end of the meeting left and they all went someplace else and made some decisions. And it didn't. And they got
They got
a really
caught.
big slap on the hand for it. So we just gotta be careful that we don't make other decisions or other topics when we're in that session.
And we're not making decisions in those sessions anyway,
Right.
so, I mean, they're just strictly ideas and getting the ball rolling and prioritizing where we need to be moving.
Okay, so October 4th, we'll decide when we're gonna meet to discuss developments, is that what I'm getting?
Sounds good.
Gotta start someplace.
Yep.
All right. Let's approve the bills then, so we can go home.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Did you all the info you need now?
Yep,
What? Well, we got the bills, is that all there is?
I will second that.
Executive session.
Jeff just approved the bills and Jim seconded it.
Hmm?
I said Jeff approved the bills and Jim seconded it.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Is there any other business that needs to come before the council before we adjourn?
We gotta go to executive session.
Oh, okay. Okay, I entertain a motion to go into executive session for matters, personnel matters pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parent 1.
I'll make that motion.
We got a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session for personnel matters pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parent 1. Is there any discussion? If not,